Hey everyone, Aaron here. Welcome back to another surprise attack review. Though, realistically, is this a surprise? I don't know. I don't think really too many people are gonna be surprised by what this review is. Of course, we're talking about Erased. Now, what's funny about Erased is that in the last like several months that it's been out, it has blown up the anime industry as being one of this second coming of an anime. It's become, it's this everyone's talking about Boku Dake Ga Inamaki, or Erased, like I said before, has just been this wave of people saying this is the greatest show ever. This is the new age of anime. This is the new beginning of anime. And when I watched the first episode, I really liked it a lot. I thought it was a great series, and I read the manga to completion because the manga was actually almost done at that point. So then I just had to, wait for a few more chapters for, excuse me. And I finished the manga and was left very disappointed by the manga. I thought the story was great up until the ending parts where it became very cliched and typical. And I think it just was very typical in a lot of ways. The anime was told that it was going to be one season long, which was going to follow the manga. And I did say constantly, I kept telling people that I thought there might be another season because they seemed like they were at the end still a lot of stuff that they didn't have from the manga. But what they ended up doing in the ending, which is what I kind of figured toward one point of the anime, which was like episode 10 around that they were speed up a little bit. And they did speed up quite significantly and change the ending dramatically different from the manga, with only one image actually being the same from the manga to the anime. But overall, here's my thoughts for it. So if you are new to a race, which I know plenty of you probably are, and you're probably waiting for the story to come out for it, it follows Satoru Fujinamo, which he is our main character. He has a special ability called Revival, which when he sees this like butterfly in the sky, it lets him relive a few seconds to anywhere from a couple minutes of this moment that something's going to happen. It's kind of like foreshadowing something happening. Now, our main character Satoru is actually just a manga artist slash pizza delivery guy he's 29 years old. He really doesn't have anything per se going in his life. He's very lonely. He deals with certain things here and there, but he does have this power and unique ability where he does save people and help people a lot with no recognition, unfortunately. But one day, a series of events, and this is not really a spoiler because this is going to essentially happen and kind of start the whole series off, is that someone he knows that was killed in the past kind of goes back into his mind, and he thinks, what would have been different about that? And ironically enough, then certain more events happen that lead to his mother being killed. Now, this is a series that's going to be more so the chain of events kind of series where things are happening that are explained later on. Now, Satoru then has the ability of revival again, and that activates, but it does something very different from his usual times of using revival. Instead of only going back a few minutes to a few moments, it actually sends him back all the way to when he was a kid. He was an 11-year-old kid back at school, and he's actually now going to try to figure out what led to his mother's death in the long run, but also at the same time see if he could solve the murders and disappearances of two girls that disappeared in his community. And it's going to just be a big revolving story around these murder mysteries, these disappearances, and Satoru's power and his kind of recoming of age, because essentially what he's been giving is another chance at life. And it's interesting what he does with that and what actually takes place. Now, my biggest concern with the Erased, and I'm going to call it Erased because that's the easiest way to describe it, is that honestly it is what I want to say, a show that starts off very new and very fresh. It has some great ideas with the kind of time traveling mechanics and almost a butterfly effect type kind of concepts. But what happens after that is essentially a ride of generic moments. Like, don't get me wrong, there's some great moments of Erased. I was very emotionally thrilled with the show at certain points because there's some really strong emotional ties with Satoru and some of his friends. Like, there are moments where I'm not gonna spoil all of his friends' names, and I'm not gonna do that, but there are friends that he meets along the way that really you find out have a lot of understanding of Satoru and understand what type of person he was. You understand Satoru's kind of struggles in life, and getting another chance to relive that, I think, is everyone's big dream, is to actually redo their life essentially. Maybe get a second chance, and he gets that chance, though it's kind of scary because what happens essentially after that is him trying to solve again his mother's murder. Why did his mother have to die? But at the same time trying to figure out what happened to these two girls that disappeared in his community. Animation wise, I'm gonna start with the good stuff. Animation wise, Erased is beautiful to look at. It is some of the strongest animation I've seen in a long time. I like everything about the show visually wise. It's very good. It's very strong. Certain characters are a little bit odd. I've always made jokes about, and I think many of us in the anime community have made jokes about Satoru's mother, who has really big lips for some reason. Like, it's very odd and standoffish when everyone else has normal sized lips, and she's got like huge lips. It's a little weird. It's a little off-putting, but it's not anything per se that's going to reduce the score of this. It's just more so you wonder why did they do that, if that makes any sense. Now, besides that, everything else erased. Voice acting wise, very good. I like all the characters. I like Satoru as a voice actor a lot because he really has this melancholy tone to him that he has throughout the whole series when he talks and when he's thinking about things and when he's contemplating stuff and, strategically coming up with what he might do next and what he's going to do differently. His tone of voice really matches his character personality to a T, and I love that about him. And all the other cast of characters are great too. Soundtrack wise, the soundtrack's amazing for the show. I actually really like it. I think it's very strong. The opening is actually notorious right now for being so great because it's by one of my things. What's the group that does it? Asian Kung Fu Generation, I believe it is. I think that's a group, and I apologize if I got it wrong because I always forget their actual name. But they did a lot of great songs. They did Full Metal Alchemist opening a few times, and they did on other songs too. But that's what I remember them for. But you could tell they really had some really great, solid soundtrack designs of this, and overall I think it had some great music for just moments of foreboding and moments of melancholy. There were some great tones to this, and I really liked that about it. But here's my biggest issue with it. It comes with twofold. It comes with, per se, not the characters specifically, but the characters' plots and the story. Again, Erased is not anything per se new. If you're going into this anime thinking it's brand new, I want to warn you that there's been other things that have done stuff like this before. I'm not going to start naming off all of that, but there are plenty of shows that I've seen in the course of my lifetime that have same concepts of redoing time, and in many ways Case Closed is kind of the same thing, where now he gets to be both a kid and also at the same time an adult solving murder mysteries and stuff like that. It kind of reminds me sometimes of the art style of Case Closed. Not all the time, but sometimes. Just the way the characters look. I mean, not per se like the very weird and kind of sketchy art style that Case Closed has, if that makes sense, but more so their designs look like better versions of what Case Closed could have had. I don't know if that resonates with anyone else. I don't know if that's just me being crazy or what, but I just think that. But the story overall is not anything new. It's stuff that's been done before, and what essentially happens is this show has a lot of moments where it's like, I've seen this before already. I've seen this before. We've done this before in anime. We've done this. We've explored these kind of character concepts before. It's not per se such a bad thing. Like, the show's gonna suffer greatly because of it, but it does have issues with it here and there. It's really weird. The anime ending compared to the manga ending though is what I really want to talk about. And I'm not spoiling anything, don't worry guys, but the anime ending is a lot better, I think, than the manga ending, which is, the manga is a little bit more of a extra kind of moment, I guess. It almost would be, if you think about it, an extra anime episode. So instead of being 12 episodes, it could have been a 13th episode. I think what they did with the ending for this is a lot more quicker to the pace, to the moment. It might piss people off, I think, and it's going to probably piss people off because it is a little bit too neatly wrapped up. And the one thing that I did like a little bit more about the manga's ending was that they kind of explored the killer who he finds. They explore his story a little bit more, a little further. But I understand why they also didn't do that with this, and I kind of get what they were trying to go for. They wanted a quick, neat closing, and they really wanted to focus on Satoru growing up fully and kind of retaking life taking life back by the horns, essentially. Overall, is Erased the greatest show ever? No, I'm sorry. I'll stand by that every day and say that it is not the best thing I've ever seen in my life. I don't think it's the second coming of anime. I think if you say that, you might be too new to anime to understand that this has really got a lot of flaws. A lot of story flaws and a lot of character flaws. But don't get me wrong, Erased is not a bad time. Every episode is very good. The show overall as a whole is good. It's very enjoyable. It does things right with character concepts. It does things right with animation-wise. It's a strong show, to be sure. That's why if I had to review Erased from an A through F, I have to give it a solid B-. It's a very good show. Is it the best thing I've ever seen? No. I want to say that it could have been a lot better. I think they would have maybe gotten a little bit more. I want to say if they would have changed up not character designs, but the character plot designs, I should say, if that makes any sense. The concept of where the characters go in the story and what is happening could have been done a little bit differently. I also think they should have used Satoru's revival powers a little bit stronger here and there. But it's not a big deal. It's something that in the end you'll still enjoy the show, but it's just nothing that I haven't say. It's nothing that I say is gonna be the best show ever, in order to put it on this grand pedestal everyone's been putting on it lately. It's a good show, but that's just what it is. It's a good show. Nothing else, nothing more, nothing less. You'll enjoy it. You know, just don't go into the show expecting all the hype that I think everyone has for it, because I think that's going to off-put a lot of people to it. Go into this expecting just a show that's good and has some great moments, and it does have some decent characters and decent characters plot lines. But like I said, it just does not resonate as great as everyone says it is, for me at least personally. You might think it is great, and I'm not going to fault you guys for thinking that, but that's just my take on it. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this review. I know probably a million other people are reviewing this right now and putting this up as soon as possible, but I hope you guys enjoyed it nonetheless. Please like, comment, subscribe. Really helps me out a lot. And as always, guys, until our paths cross again, next review, have a good one, everyone. Bye-bye.